let's talk about adjusting reading levels of text. Too often, I think we assume that this is going to be for certain populations of our students as opposed to all populations of students. This really can benefit your top level students as well as your students that maybe struggle to understand grade level content. So I'll walk you through using a platform known as Flint to make that adjustment. For the sake of example, sometimes I have to get my students to engage with philosophies in our debate classroom. So in teaching them those philosophies, I want to go back to the original text as much as I can. John Rawls, a former Harvard professor, is a great example. When looking up John Rawls's A Theory of Justice, which is a book that he wrote, one thing he talks about is a philosophy called the veil of ignorance and operating from what's known as the original position. That concept can be difficult for my students to understand. So when I type that in on Google, one thing I want to mention to you that I do when trying to access academic text is I add in file type :PDF right after. That tells Google that I want it to only show me things in PDF file format, which you can see the first result here is. And I've already clicked through some of these to find the ideal one that I would want to use. And I do think it is that one at the top, but I just want to show you that they were all PDFs. When I click that document, I can see that it brings up a 31-page document. That's not how long the book is, but it is an excerpt from his book. And it's going to reference things like the original position. That's going to be more text than I think my students are going to engage with. And also, if I just give you a sample in here, you can see it's not the type of text that they typically read. Here, under the role of justice, justice is the first virtue of social institutions, as truth is of systems of thought. A theory, however elegant and economical, must be rejected or revised if it's untrue, and it goes on and on. It's going to be hard for me to get a student to read this document, let alone to process it accurately. Next, I want to familiarize you a little with Flint. So I was able to create an account very quickly, let it know a little bit about me, what it is that I teach. And now you can see that I'm on this workspace where I have a lot of functionality available to me. What I did was I just started a chat right here, and I'll go ahead and bring that back up. So what I put in was an explanation. I said I would like to adjust the reading level of this text for a high school student, focusing on the original position, that's the concept I'm trying to teach, as explained in this document. I want to make the text more relatable and accessible to my students. And then I just pasted the URL of that 31-page document. And then what it did is it came up with, let me click this right here to bring the box up, it came up with this explanation that I've already checked out, and I'm honestly impressed with how accurate it is. When talking about the original position, it says, imagine you're about to create the rules for a brand new society, but here's the catch. You don't know what role you'll play in it. You don't know if you'll be rich or poor, healthy or sick, talented or struggling. You don't even know your gender, race, or what abilities you'll have. You're making the rules behind what Rawls calls a veil of ignorance. So it's a thought experiment. As it starts to outline, it explains the way that the thought experiment works, and then we are able to engage in a discussion, me with my students, and hopefully it would be a little student-led at this point. It gets them to engage with the original text, but it adjusts the reading level down so that they're able to access it with where they are right now. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm not able to engage with some of the original text as I would want to. This allows me to gain that knowledge and start to internalize some of that content. As we know as teachers, that internalization is what's critical. As is true with many AI tools, you're not limited to simply that one tool for making this work. I had a student who, after I explained this to the class, went to a debate tournament, and after he came out of a round where he didn't understand an argument that his opponent was making, he took the original file and then he uploaded that to ChatGPT and he asked for an adjusted reading level to that text. He came back and reported to me that then he understood it. He was able to incorporate that into the future debates at that tournament. And that's exactly what I want to see happening. Hopefully we are empowering our students with these tools and not just ourselves.